Welcome to another episode of Content Creators Unite, the show where we discuss all things content creation. So, if you want to learn how to grow your business using your blog, newsletters, books, social media, and more, you're in the right place. I'm your host, John Clements. Our guest for today's episode is Scott Taube. Scott bootstrapped a golf e-commerce brand, leaning heavily on his expertise in social media branding and viral marketing. So, Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on.
I'm excited to talk to you today. But before we get into your product, that's kind of the impetus for the show. Can you just give us a little background, like kind of how you got into doing what it is you do?
Yeah, I did fall into it a bit in regards to the golf space, but I've always been sort of entrepreneurial and marketing minded and sort of experience minded and logistics minded, and so all that came together when it comes to gameplay. But so yeah, my background's in marketing. I spent a long time in music, which we connected on that you had
Yeah.
recognized me from one of my bands, which is fun. So yeah, music and touring and then yeah, worked my way into launching a marketing company, and then just during sort of a creative lull in my life, this bag cards was an idea I had had for a long time, and so I yeah, just took the leap and launched it and learned the things I didn't know and leaned on the things I did know in regards to marketing and branding, and it worked, and here we are.
Yeah, and so we're going to get into that because you have a lot of really great stories and ideas and tips to share for marketing. But I do want to know, so bad cards for good golfers, that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Website will be in the description. How did you even come up with that idea?
I think being a bad golfer is really helpful. I know that the name, sounds the opposite of that, but half the game are good cards for bad golfers. So the other way it worked out is, I grew up playing occasionally and, kind of on par threes with my brother, never super serious. I was on my middle school golf team, but that was primarily because a couple days a week I got to, hit balls for free. Um, and so yeah, never a serious golfer, and obviously being a touring musician and stuff like that, golf's expensive. It really wasn't in the budget most of the time, but I do enjoy playing when I get invited out, and so that happens maybe once a year, once every other year for a while. And so I had a buddy of mine invite me out, and he was a single digit handicap. I was not going to break 100, and I was like, I would love to go play. I'll have a great time. You can't give me any advice. Like, you can't. I'm not working on my game here. Just let me have a good time. He's like, totally get it. And then what we ended up doing was sort of making up these little side games of like, okay, well, you take 2 shots at each position, or we're going to take my drive and then this, or like, that sort of thing, sort of like level it without having me try and improve my game. And then we just kept coming up with ideas. And after that round, I just kept thinking of like wackier and wackier things. And then 4 years passed. I had this idea. I was like, oh, we could put this into a card game. You draw it and it levels it out, that sort of thing, to make me playing with you fun. And um, yeah, just it's sat on the idea shelf in my mind along many other projects. And then I was at we had some friends over to our apartment, and we were playing like a card game, and I was telling them about this idea that I had. And then that night, my wife and I were talking, and it was just like, she's like, what would it take to like try this, to launch it? Do you think you can do it? I'm like, yeah, I think I can. I don't know if it'll work, but like, I think that I could create it. And it's like, all right, we'll start working on it. And so, um, that original, friend that I ended up, kind of sharing the idea with, I knew him from music and touring, and I reached out to him. I was like, hey, that idea I talked about 4 years ago. And he's like, yeah, I remember that. I think it's a great idea. I was like, well, I'm thinking about trying it. Do you want to kick in some money? Let's bootstrap it. And he's like, I'm in. So I'm like, I'll take the weekend, the next couple of weeks, I'll work on a Google Doc. And then by the end of the weekend, I had like over 100 of the cards. I had most of the cards just done. Like, I just had a notepad with me all day. I kept writing down ideas, and then um yeah, and then after that was just taking one step at a time, figuring out, okay, what's next? How do we design the cards? Okay, design a logo. Okay, let's find a manufacturer. How do we do that? I don't know. So a lot of time on Google and Reddit, and now ChatGPT, and just taking the next step each time. And then we kept moving and kept moving and released it, and people liked it, and we had that sort of aha moment. It's like, we have something here. And then so it's just grown from there. So
Yeah, and I have to say, so I looked at your website, I was looking at some of the sample cards. I've golfed maybe 4 times in my life, and it's not something that terribly interests me, but I tell you what, like, I would go play golf with someone if they had that deck of cards because it looked like a ton of fun.
We do hear that a lot. I mean, we get a lot of people that discover us through some of our content, that's maybe golf adjacent, and they're just like, I don't golf, but like this makes me want to play. And that's really, I mean, that's really the spirit of what we were launching is like there's a lot of opportunities in culture right now in golf to make it more approachable. There's a lot of barriers. I mean, cost alone, time commitment, all of that's there. But then also like there's etiquette. It's intimidating to go out, and it's not like you can like it's not like surfing, right? Where it's like I'm gonna hit the little white water and start with that, work my way up. Like you just kind of got to go all in because you're going out for a 4+ hour round. You're playing 18 holes, you're hitting driver and everything in between and putting. Like you kind of have to know how to do everything. So it's intimidating. And luckily things like Pop Stroke and Top Golf are giving people the opportunity to like see if they can make contact with the club. So it's just a continuation of that, making sure that people feel comfortable on the golf course and have fun. And especially when you have more veteran golfers with novice golfers, it makes it fun. It's not fun to play when your abilities are really far apart.
Yeah.
This person's waiting a bunch, or like there's this person's stressed out that they're taking, like it's the most fun to play when there's golfers at all different skill levels. And yeah, just again, just making it approachable and fun and getting people to try out the sport and yeah, and just it's so hard. It's so hard. It's such a hard game. And like I play with too many people that just their day is ruined. And like you already spent a bunch of money to be out here. Like and you expect the world of yourself and you're not playing great. So that's the time you pull the cards out and go like, we're salvaging this day. We're gonna have
Yeah.
fun today.
Yeah. Yeah, and let's not forget why we're out here. Ideally is to have fun, right? To get
Yeah.
away the
You're not
time.
you're not making the pro tour, so just
Right. So let's
let
just like
those
calm
groups
out,
go.
calm down.
Yeah.
So the thing that I know about you, probably more than anything else, is that you are an incredibly creative person. So not just with the bad cards for good golfers, but also in your music career, you would create basically extremely inventive music videos with very little budget, um, which are just amazing. I mean, they're on YouTube. You can go find them. But so, talk to me about creativity. How have you honed your creativity over the years?
Yeah, I think with the creativity in those spaces, it comes down to it's almost still more of an entrepreneurial thought, which is when you're an entrepreneur, you see a hole in the marketplace, and typically you have the idea or the device or the system or the strategy that's going to solve that problem. And so I teach, I look at marketing the same way, especially when you have a limited budget. It's like, okay, you have a limited budget. What do you have? And there aren't any wrong answers here. It could be connections that you have, or an ability that you have, or something like one of the things you're referring to is I did a whole stop animation music video because I had a camera and I could do stop animation and split screen. And I had access to a ton of cardboard. Like that's something I had access to, a bunch of free cardboard. So I'm like, cool, we used it to build a set that cost us nothing. So the same thing when it comes into yeah, to golf or marketing or just anything. It's like, what do you have? What is the edge? What is the advantage that you have? And then it's how do you exploit that to potentially go viral and move products or stand out among your competition.
So, when it comes specifically to, let's say, social media branding or like viral marketing, um, I'm not sure. Like, what are some of the ways you've actually lived that out? Like, let's say, especially for like the bad cards for good golfers. Like, how have you taken that
Yeah.
approach and then like implemented it?
I think in that regard, the thing that we had in the golf space that other people didn't is that we had a product that is automatically optimized and primed for user generated content for participation and for that content cycle, which everybody probably listening to this as anything in marketing and social media knowledge knows what UGC is, user generated content, wherein you're taking content from people using your product and you're posting it on your page because it's organic, it's real, they're actual moments. And it goes a long way and it performs really well. And so we had that component. And so we knew, and we were filling a need in the marketplace, same as I say on like the entrepreneurial side. The need in the marketplace on content creation are ideas. So channels like Good Golf, but also just any content creator that's trying to make golf content to stand out. There's only so much you can do, right? They'll do a one club challenge, or they'll do, I'm going to do this weird, it's whatever they can think of. What we did is we went to those content creators, big and small, and everyone in between. If you had 10,000 followers or more, we were sending you a DM and we're saying like, hey, love your page. Here's what we do. We'd love to send you some cards. It's basically content ideas in a box. So we're solving a problem with these influencers and content creators of like, you got to think of fun stuff to do. It's YouTubers as well. Here's a box of content. Done. Just draw a card, do what it says. Your content ideas are created for you. And on the flip side, we get to use that content as well to show off our product. And it's just a very organic way for them to promote our product. Because we didn't want them to be like, use my discount code and this, that. We didn't want it to feel like a sell. We just wanted to show like, here's what they look like. Here they are in action, kind of that sort of soft sell. So that was an opportunity that we had in the marketplace that I don't know that a lot of other brands have in the golf space. Yeah, so we were helping these content creators solve a problem by giving them a box full of ideas, and they were helping us solve a marketing problem of, we're not going out and paying tens of thousands of dollars off the budget to get influencers to play our game or to go out and shoot with all these different people. It's just like, kind of help me help you. And those are always like the best intersections where it's like what I have and what you have complement each other. And so it's, anytime we're getting into a collaboration conversation where it's just about the numbers and money, it's just like, this isn't collaborative at this point. It's like, can we help you with something? Can you help us with something? Let's come together. And so I think, and specifically designing the game in that way, like we knew that marketing, we wanted it to feel real, user gen, we wanted to feel organic and like a little unpolished, a little self-deprecating, self-awareness was important. Blunt, and we carried that all into the marketing voice, and yeah, so that was a huge opportunity that we had and a huge leg up we had when it came to content creation. And we had YouTubers that were doing entire long form videos, and we had no idea until they kind of shared and we were tagged in it. So it wasn't like a typical collaboration where it's like, okay, it's going to post on this date, you're going to post this, and then we're going to do that. Like, so yeah, so it was intentional. It was an opportunity that we saw and certainly worked to exploit it pretty hard from day one.
So that is so smart. Like, because what does it cost you? Like $5 to send them a deck of cards?
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
that's it. So if they never talk to you again, you're not really out anything.
Nope. And at the very least, it's a kind gesture. It's just like, hey, we appreciate you. We want to send you some stuff. And that obviously it came with the hope that they would find value in it and use it and it would solve their problem. But it wasn't like, there wasn't an expectation that they would use it because I wasn't paying them. I was just sending them something. So if they, some of them just did an unboxing or like, posted like, hey, I got this, which is always kind. I mean, I always try to do that when companies send us products at the very least, to at least post the stories or something like low hanging fruit like that. But yeah, I mean, we had creators that used them all the time, and the flip side is we had creators whose pages really grew with the content they were doing with our cards. There was a young content page that was coming out, a group of guys that were just starting to do a YouTube and stuff like this. Was last year. I'll plug them. They're called Birdie Fever, and they had maybe a couple thousand followers, and we sent them some cards. And because at the very least, even if they don't have a following, but they're going to use it, like we have user generated content. So it's not even about their influence. It's about their content coming back to us. And they did a whole YouTube round and cut some of that to short form. And one of those videos it was over 1 million. It might've hit 2 million. And these are guys who haven't cracked 5,000 views. And so by using our cards, it's like, and that's, we had another early on a golf creation. These two guys that were sort of doing a little golf thing on the side, and they were pretty new to their page, and but they made good content. There was just a new avenue for them. And we sent them a deck, and basically we were like, hey, you can post. We worked out a deal. We're going to pay you per view on TikTok. So it was a penny every however many views. Like we worked it out to where it's like cool and no ceiling on this. Go nuts. Post as much as you want in 30 days, and we're gonna, we had this whole system to tracking it. 4 days in, I called them, and I'm like, I can't. Like I'm gonna pay you the full top line budget that we have, but you're gonna blow through it. And they were great, and they were stoked because they were getting, I don't know, I think across the campaign, because they kept posting, because like, well, we totally get it and we appreciate it, and like we're gonna keep posting this stuff because it's great for our page. I think the content they posted for us, again, this was a small page, had a total of like 16 million views on TikTok across the content that they posted in that month, specifically from bag cards, pulling bag cards. So like it's sort of like, it helps both our brand and the creators as well. We've seen that in a lot of cases. So win-win. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's bad cards for good golfers, and Fore is spelled with an E, like the
It is.
golfed. So you can go to the website again, link below, and just from again looking at the 10 or 12 cards that are like on your website, I can just envision how entertaining these videos are. Like I'm not a golfer. I would watch it. I would probably play it. Like it's just a good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you've talked a little bit about success. When it comes to marketing, like what does success mean to you? Is it getting lots of views? Is it getting user generated content? Is it blowing through your marketing budget? Like what does it even mean to succeed?
Yeah, I mean, in marketing, they have, everything has a KPI. So it's your key performance indicator. So anything that you do, I think the first thing you do is you set up your main KPI, and then you can have subsequent KPIs under that. So, and the more that you have on that, the better, because that means maybe if you don't really succeed with this main KPI, you got these other things, right? So, let's say like case in point, if you were doing an influencer campaign, maybe it was a paid campaign. So your agency, your company, whatever, you don't have this sort of mutually beneficial sort of ecosystem to promote your product, but you're like, we want to try an influencer campaign. So the main KPI would be that they get a lot of views. Well, realistically, your main KPI is to get sales, right?
Yeah.
Probably if you're doing an e-commerce product. Secondary KPI would be awareness. So it's like, okay, if they got 100,000 views on this, but it didn't convert to sales, that sucks because our main KPI was to get sales to recoup this. But what we did get was we got a lot of impressions. Great. And then you think like, how do I re-engage these impressions? Additionally, it's like, well, in our agreement, do I get to source that content and post it from my end? So then it's like another KPI that, secondary KPI is that we'll all have high quality content that I can use to run ads. So in that way, you sort of stack the deck. So even if like, okay, the sell through sucked and it didn't work, but we got, 10,000 new awareness, maybe that resulted in a couple hundred followers that we can re-engage on social. That's great. Not what we wanted, but it's great. And then, hey, here's this great piece of content that I can use to run an ad for. And instead of me paying somebody to produce an ad, I've got something that's going to work as a high performing ad. So it always depends. Like, and I always try to stack KPIs. Like the more benefit, the better. And we do a lot of that with our collaborations and stuff. It's like, with collaborations are great because it's a lot of work, but it's like you're positioning yourself next to this other brand. Just the more objectives you can stack on it. You obviously want to have your main one. You want to focus on that, but then everything else that's sort of gravy. Sometimes you just got a plate of gravy at the end of it, but it's not nothing,
Yeah, and I want to make sure too, to just clarify, so for anyone who's listening, they understand this because it's so important. So the two things I think stand out in our conversation so far is you have the ability, or have honed the ability, let's say, to look at your situation and go, okay, I may not be able to do this big grand thing, but what can I do with what I have? And that's such an important mindset.
Oh yeah.
And then to the stacked KPIs. Maybe I didn't win with my number one goal, but maybe there are some smaller wins I can capitalize on. And so like, to me, that is a big part of why you're successful is because you have that mindset. I don't know. What do you think about that? Am I full of
Yeah,
what?
no, definitely. I mean, you're onto something. And the other thing too is like those secondary, like you also have to stop looking at things. You can't look at things as success and failure. And I think stacking the KPIs does that, right? Because like you're like, this is my main goal, and if that didn't achieve, failure. It's like, no, what did I learn? I learned that that doesn't work. So let's not focus on this thing anymore, or let's tweak it. What didn't work about it? You learn something. Obviously, we always want to learn through success, but your teachers are failures too. They're just more expensive a lot of times, whether that's money or effort, but anything that you can learn from it. So if you're like, that didn't work, but we saw strong response from this, or, oh man, that ad did great. So now I'm going to keep doing these, but maybe I'm going to like not require as much from the influencer. Maybe I'm just going to get them to, I'm going to pay them less for them to shoot and create content that I post natively. And they'll be like, it's not on my feed, it's less expensive. So you sort of like, you learn from what does and doesn't work. If something does work, you double down. If it doesn't work, you either abandon it or you tweak it, or you try to figure out what component of it didn't work and try to test from there, and then just keep trying stuff. But a lot of times you'll realize like, hey, this worked in a way I didn't think that it would. And so then you shift your focus on like, what should I be doing here? What is this opportunity is popping up that I didn't realize was there before, this path forward that I didn't realize was a thing. And so if you remain open, if you're not looking for like, did this winner lose,
Yeah.
did I pass or fail? You look at like, what components of this were wins, what components of this can I learn from all the way down, and then move forward with that. Otherwise, it's just discouraging because stuff fails all the time. If you're like
Yeah.
3 or 4 failures and it's like X, 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 it's like, instead of like, man, I'm learning a lot of, it's expensive to learn, but college is expensive and we pay to go there. So,
Yeah.
you learn your lessons and you move forward from that. And, you'll know that you'll be able to take that into future projects and into future, somebody's trying to pitch you a collaboration where it's like, oh, we're going to give you this many followers. You're like, cool, I did this thing before and I got a lot of followers that didn't convert to sales. So that isn't something I'm interested in for this amount of money or whatever. So
Yeah, exactly. And so, again, if anyone listening takes away anything at all from this particular conversation, I think that mindset piece is by far the most important thing. And even with that mindset, it can still kind of be terrible sometimes. Like it just is sometimes.
yeah, for sure. It's just, sometimes you're banging your head against the wall. And
Yeah.
I mean, I do think in all honesty, like, we bootstrapped this project with nothing. And then we worked in a space where we do have a marketing budget and we can try bigger things. And like, I'll say it, it's kind of like success is great, obviously, but like being scrappy is more creative. Like you're just forced to like, there's something this is so indicative of our game. It's just like, yeah, playing this hole is fun, but like, I wonder how I do with just this club in my hand. Like, I wonder if it's like, what's the added
Yeah.
challenge here? So it's like, cool, yeah, market this product, but here's the stuff you have to work against. And in my experience marketing, like those have always kind of been the more fun projects. Like I've worked with our marketing agency, we've worked with companies that, you know, because of the type of product they have or the brand or restrictions, they can't advertise through traditional, and I'm talking even things like supplements, you can't advertise through traditional avenues. You have to get creative and work around these sort of policies. And that to me is always like more fun because any agency can come in and be like, here's the formula for success. But the second you walk in and be like, that won't work because we can't do X, Y, and Z. What do you recommend? And there's like that's where I like to go in and be like, all right, what do we have? What can we do?
Yeah.
And then working from that place, I think is more fun. It's more fun and creative, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I agree totally. And I think it's more rewarding too.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah. So I do want to get to know you just a little bit better, just as a person. So, even though this conversation has been wonderful, I would go on for hours, but our listeners probably don't want to listen to for hours. So I'm going to assume that you have some point in your day, maybe week, maybe month, where you're not working. So what do you like to do when you're not working?
Yeah. I mean, golf, honestly. I do when I started Bad Cards, I started obviously taking golf a lot more serious because I was like, all right, I will be in meetings and events and on video golfing. So like, don't embarrass yourself. And no, I really do enjoy it. I live in in Florida, and so I've always loved fishing, going to the beach, and just really kind of enjoying the space. So if I have time, I'm outside. I also, this is going to make me sound like an old man, but love sitting in the backyard and watching the birds and the critters.
That sounds like a great idea to me.
And then, yeah, and then travel. I love to travel. And so I think I've always loved traveling, and, been touring with music since, shortly after college, and just pretty much lived on the road most of the time. And so Bad Cards has opened up a lot of opportunity for that. We travel for events, and then my wife and I will schedule, like, okay, we're going to this event on this, we have to be out here for this time. We'll fly out early or late, and we'll do like a road trip. And we just spent 2 weeks exploring the Northeast, which is sort of an area that we haven't spent much time. As much as we've been around the country, we haven't spent much time up there. And so checking a lot of boxes off of the states that we visited. And so, yeah, traveling and just checking out different cultures and scenery and stuff like that is up there for me.
That sounds cool. Yeah. And just to kind of go back to, I guess, kind of where we started the conversation with music. So again, you have that music background. I have to know for a fact you're an amazing singer and songwriter. Just throwing that out there for anyone who wants to investigate. What does your relationship with music look like now?
I just enjoy listening to it. I think in regards to music, the things that I really, really enjoyed about it was that it was a creative outlet, and like almost songwriting was like, while it was part of it, certainly was not even probably almost the main thing. If I'm thinking back on it, it was the performance of it. It was creating an experience, which you can do through songwriting and releasing music, but more rewarding when you can see it. And so touring and performing was way up there for me. Was a big component of what I loved. And then the creative outlet. And so weirdly enough, with Bad Cards, a lot of those, with launching Bad Cards, it checked a lot of those boxes of like creative problem solving, and then creativity as far as like marketing and creating videos, and especially being in a competitive space, the same as it was with music, especially for sort of like starting out bands and younger bands. It's like we have to stand out among the competition, whether it's a music video or promotion or however we do. So it sort of like eclipses a lot of those things for me. And so, well, I mean, I do miss, I do miss performing live. I mean that, uh, you know, but, I'm good though. Like,
You're good.
yeah, like I said, I think I told you before this, like, save my voice for, the shower, the car, and karaoke. And yeah, but it was, I mean, it was a super cool chapter in my life, and I'm so grateful for the friends that I made, and the things I did. And my wife and I got to travel all of that together. So the bulk of our relationship, our marriage, was on the road together and touring and playing in bands together. And so incredible memories, great friends. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but at the same time, it's fun to be on to a new adventure, and still satisfying those components that within me feel that yearning of like creativity, outlet, travel, exploring, things like that, which we're able to check those boxes in a totally different avenue.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, it's totally okay to have different chapters in life. I have things in my past that I identify with and had a great time and have lifelong friends. And I don't necessarily do them anymore. And like you said, I look back with fond memories, but it's not a part of me right now, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so last question for you. Anyone who's maybe an avid golfer who like me doesn't golf but maybe wants to try golfing with Bad Cards, where can people go to learn more about you, go and buy your products?
Yeah. So
Where's all of action?
obviously our website is badcards4goodgolfers.com, and Fore is Fore. If you Google any sort of Bad Cards plus golf, you'll find us. Just look for the skull and crossbones.
Yeah.
All social media platforms, we're Bad Cards for Good Golfers. We do a lot of giveaways. We do some fun videos. There's a lot of showing our products. Yeah, we always try to have a lot of fun in that landscape. So yeah, follow along, purchase stuff. That's great. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. Yeah, for yourself or another golfer in your life. And then also, if you're not in the golf but you like, skulls and stuff. We have a lot of apparel and hats and stuff. We have a bunch of people that just go buy that stuff. So that's
Nice.
cool too.
Cool. And again, we'll have in the link to the description in the website and where you can go to find that. I will do my best to mention bad cards to my golfer buddies, which I
I
get
love it.
those that way.
I love it.
So, Scott, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on today.
For sure. Great chatting with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed our discussion today, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. I bring on the coolest people I can find, just like Scott. We talk about what they do. I get them to share their secrets, and then you get to grow your business. And so with that, hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time on the Content Creators Unite podcast.